It was prime time, baby. Friday night, 1980. The pizza was greasy, the Pepsi was flat, and your dad just yelled, "Nobody touch the TV!" Because for 1 hour, America held its breath. No Netflix, no TikTok, no spoiler threads. Just 83 million people in acid-washed jeans and tube socks, whispering the same question. Who shot JR?
Who shot JR?
Dallas wasn't just a soap opera. It was the Super Bowl of scandal. It had everything. Betrayal, oil, power, sex. Shoulder pads wide enough to catch satellite signals. But behind the Aquanet and the megawatt smiles, pure mayhem. Backstage threats, meltdowns, an elite actor who nearly quit because someone actually shot him. This wasn't just a TV show. It was a Texas-sized meltdown with a hairspray budget. So buckle up, cowboy. These are 20 wild facts you didn't know about Dallas. And trust me, what Larry Hagman did while tripping on acid at a network lunch, you'll never look at studio catering the same way again. Fact 1. Larry Hagman was almost fired before he became a legend. He was supposed to be background noise, just some smarmy dude in a cowboy hat with a bad attitude and great cheekbones. J.R. Ewing? Supporting role, nothing more. But Hagman? He turned J.R. into a whiskey-soaked hurricane, part villain, part rock star. Drunk, smooth-talking, and dangerously lovable. Like if Elvis and Gordon Gekko had a baby. In Texas. The suits at CBS hated it. Too loud, too unpredictable, too much hair. They nearly canned him after season 1. Then the ratings hit like a tornado through Southfork Ranch. JR was the show. Hagman went from expendable to untouchable, like a bottle of vintage bourbon in a gas station full of beer. And just wait till you hear what almost got him banned from the lot in season 4. Fact 2. Who Shot J.R. sparked global riots. Yes, really. When JR took a bullet in the season 3 finale, America lost its collective mind. But the rest of the world? They went full DEFCON 1. Vegas started taking bets. The Queen Mother asked for early spoilers. Reporters staked out the studio like it was Watergate. And in Turkey, the power went out mid-episode. So the citizens did what any rational Dallas fan would do. They rioted. Protesters stormed the TV station. The government had to publicly apologize and re-air the episode the next day. That's not just fan loyalty. That's fan insanity with a southern drawl. And don't go anywhere. One of the cast members got death threats over that episode. Fact 3. Larry Hagman was drunk or high in most scenes. And no one stopped him. This man didn't need a script. He had a thermos full of champagne and called it Hagman's tea. Some actors need motivation. Larry needed bubbles and LSD. Yep, he once dropped acid before a lunch meeting with CBS execs, stood on the table, sang Broadway tunes like he was auditioning for Evita in a Stetson. Total chaos. But when the cameras rolled, every line, every smirk, every swaggering insult, perfect. He was a tornado in a 10-gallon hat. And everyone just let him spin. And in Fact 4, you'll learn how he made $100,000 per episode just by refusing to shave. Fact 4, Victoria Principal quit in secret and faked a death. When Pam Ewing went up in flames in that car crash, America wept into their Pop-Tarts. But the real drama? It wasn't scripted. Victoria Principal didn't tell anyone she was quitting. No press release, no big goodbye. Just cut and she was out. Like someone who'd had one too many Tab sodas and couldn't take one more shoulder pad showdown. She'd had enough of the scripts, the set, the Hagman energy. She filmed her last scene and peaced out, leaving producers with one option. Kaboom! Pam gets blown up, written off, and buried under a pile of flaming plot lines. But Dallas doesn't do final. So when the ratings dipped, guess what? They retconned her death. As a dream. Yep, an entire season of drama, oil deals, and side eyes, flushed like expired Jell-O in a studio fridge. Bold? Yes. Dumb? Also yes. Unforgettable? You bet your VHS collection it was. And speaking of messy rewrites, Fact 5, the show had to hide pregnancy, sobriety, and a liver transplant. Behind all the glitz, the cast was breaking down like a Yugo on a dirt road. Hagman needed a liver transplant. Linda Gray was in a full-on battle for equal pay. Barbara Bel Geddes had so many heart issues, the nurses at CBS were practically on first-name basis. The writers had to MacGyver their way through it all. Giant handbags became stealthy pregnancy shields. Characters took business trips so long you thought they'd joined the Peace Corps. One season looked like a game of musical chairs, except half the cast just sat down and never stood back up. The real drama wasn't on the screen. It was in the studio infirmary. But hang on, the next fact involves a fake death, a helicopter crash, and no body. Fact 6. Jim Davis's death was written into the show with a twist. Jim Davis, the man who played Jock Ewing like a boot-wearing titan, passed away from cancer during season 4. The show had a choice: recast him or get weird. They got weird. Instead of replacing him, they kept Jock alive with off-screen phone calls and some voice impersonation that sounded like a used car salesman with a head cold. Then, because Dallas doesn't half commit, they faked a helicopter crash. The wreckage? Unrecognizable. No body. No funeral. Just an eerie absence that loomed over every scene like a ghost in a Stetson. Even 6 feet under, Jock Ewing was still the one pulling the strings at Southfork. Fact 7. Linda Gray was fired by Fax. After 12 seasons of being the queen of the slow burn, Suellens got canned with all the warmth of a microwave burrito. No call, no lunch, just a fax. One sentence. Your services are no longer required. Not even a "y'all take care." To make it worse, reporters found out before she did. She was getting press calls before she even processed the breakup text from CBS. She called the studio crickets. But fans? Oh, they were louder than a mall food court on Orange Julius discount day. Letters poured in. Petitions circled. Headlines screamed. 1 year later, Linda Gray walked back on set like the badass she was. Because you can't do Dallas without Suellens' world-famous side-eye, and the world knew it. Fact 8. Patrick Duffy left, then returned from the dead. Bobby Ewing's death crushed fans harder than stepping on a Lego barefoot. He died in a car crash and viewers felt it. They sent sympathy flowers, wrote letters, cried real tears. He was the emotional compass of the show, Mr. Nice Guy in a world of snakes and suits. But Duffy, he had doubts. He missed the madness, the family, the fame. So the writers did the only thing Dallas writers could do. They erased an entire season by making it all a dream. Yup, Pam wakes up, steps into the shower, and there's Bobby, casually rinsing like nothing happened. It was lazy, it was legendary, and it made headlines faster than a Cabbage Patch Kid shortage. Logic? Who needs it? Ratings? Through the roof. Fact 9. The theme song almost didn't exist. That iconic theme, those horns, that helicopter shot, that full-body goosebumps moment. It nearly never happened. The show was already shot and edited, with zero music. CBS panicked like they'd forgotten to tape over last night's Wheel of Fortune. So they called Gerald Imel, a composer with brass and no time. He whipped it up in one weekend, probably between sips of Sanka and commercial breaks. And boom, he delivered the sound of primetime 80s drama. Not bad for a last-minute Hail Mary. And believe it or not, the next fact might be even weirder, because it involves fans chasing cast members through malls like it was Beatlemania with cowboy hats. Fact 10. JR's hat was almost a helmet. Imagine Dallas without that crisp, cocky Stetson. Yeah, we almost got robbed. Originally, the producers wanted JR to look more like a corporate oil man than a cowboy. Think less Marlboro man, more Enron intern. So they gave Larry Hagman a helmet-style hard hat. It looked like something you'd wear to pour concrete, not pour bourbon. He hated it. Came back the next day in full silent protest, wearing a Stetson and saying nothing. Just stood there, radiating cowboy energy like a Texan Buddha. Nobody dared argue. Because that hat didn't just stay, it became legendary. Sometimes wardrobe decisions aren't made in meetings. They're made in pure, glorious rebellion. And if you thought that hat was iconic, wait till you hear who almost wore it first. Fact 11. Robert Foxworth turned down the role of JR. Yep, that hat could have landed on Robert Foxworth. He read the script, saw the smirking oil tycoon character, and basically said, "Nope, this guy's a snake. I won't play a sleazeball." He passed on the role without blinking, probably thinking he dodged a bullet. But Hagman leaned in. He turned JR into a backstabbing charmer you couldn't look away from. Part villain, part Vegas lounge act. The rest is history. Foxworth later called turning it down the biggest mistake of his career. Moral of the story? Never underestimate the power of a well-dressed devil with a side part and perfect timing. Fact 12. Real oil companies hated the show. You'd think oilmen would love being the stars of primetime TV, right? Wrong. Texas oil executives hated Dallas. They wrote angry letters, made heated calls, and begged CBS to dial it down. They claimed the show made them look like drunk, greedy maniacs in cowboy boots. The producers, they grinned all the way to the ratings chart. For every oil baron fuming in Houston, there were 10 million people eating Salisbury steak in front of their Zenith TV, living for the drama. Ironic? The show that made oil tycoons pop culture icons was despised by the actual oil tycoons. Fact 13. The cast had no touch clauses. The backstage tension on Dallas could have powered the Texas grid. Things got so spicy that cast members started adding no-touch clauses to their contracts. We're talking no unsolicited direction, no physical contact, and in some cases, no eye contact between scenes. Hagman led the charge, because of course he did, and the rest followed. Directors had to get creative, using shoulder shots, body doubles, even rewriting scenes just so actors could pretend not to exist. But despite all that passive-aggressive chaos, the on-screen chemistry still sizzled. Dallas was like your aunt's Thanksgiving dinner. Dysfunctional, over the top, and somehow it worked. Fact 14. CBS had to beg Hagman to stay. By the mid-80s, Hagman wasn't just the lead, he was the brand. So when contract negotiations hit, he ghosted the studio harder than your cousin after borrowing $5. He skipped meetings, jetted off to Europe, and sent cryptic notes from villas like a Bond villain with a day planner. Ratings dipped. CBS panicked. Eventually, they sent execs to his doorstep with champagne and a blank check, like they were proposing marriage. Hagman returned, triumphant, grinning, and richer than ever. From then on, he was the highest paid actor on TV, and honestly, worth every penny in hairspray alone. Fact 15. The Southfork Ranch got overrun by tourists. Once Dallas hit global levels of fame, Southfork Ranch wasn't just a set, it became Mecca for melodrama fans. Tour buses rolled in like it was Disney World for grown-ups. The driveway where JR was shot became a photo op hotspot, right next to the gift shop selling branded lighters and foam cowboy hats. One couple even got married there, in full 80s outfits, shoulder pads and all. Tour groups ran every day of the week, and tourists regularly trespassed just to snap a pic near the pool. Local cops told CBS to cool it. CBS shrugged and said, "Tell it to the fans." Southfork became the most famous ranch in America that never actually sold cattle. And hold on, the next fact? It involves global politics, a telenovela, and actual jail time. No joke. Fact 16. The show was banned in Romania. Back in the 1980s, Dallas wasn't just popular, it was dangerous. At least that's what Ceausescu's Romania thought. The regime banned the show outright. Why? Too capitalist, too glamorous, too tempting. It made the American dream look like a Texas-sized buffet of money, power, and airbrush drama. But Romanians weren't about to miss out. Bootleg VHS tapes were smuggled in like they were cassette gold. People huddled in basements, whispering along to JR's one-liners like they were quoting sacred texts. One guy even got arrested for selling copies. His defense? "I just wanted people to see how Americans live." Somewhere JR probably smiled. Fact 17. Suellens' drinking was based on reality. Linda Gray didn't have to dig deep to place Suellens' descent into the bottle. The writers based it on real conversations with her about alcoholism in her own family. It wasn't just acting, it was personal. Too personal. Gray said filming those scenes felt like reopening wounds on camera. But that raw honesty? That's what made it so powerful. Suellen wasn't just a character. She was a mirror for millions of viewers, shaken, flawed, and fighting through the chaos. And if you think that hit hard, wait till you hear about the actress they nearly replaced just for getting older. Fact 18. Charlene Tilton was nearly recast for Growing Up. Charlene Tilton started playing Lucy Ewing at 17, the cheeky, rebellious teen of the ranch. But by her mid-20s, producers started to panic. She was too mature, they said. They wanted to swap her out for someone younger, someone who still looked like she belonged in Saturday morning cartoons. But fans weren't having it. Letters poured in. Viewers threatened to bail. So the producers backed off, and Tilton stayed, aging on screen with grace, grit, and a wardrobe that could stop traffic on the Dallas freeway. Lucy became a teen icon who didn't disappear after puberty, and that made her even more iconic. Fact 19. The writers killed off characters to spite actors. On most shows, when an actor gets fired, they get a goodbye party. On Dallas, they got murdered. Refused to do press? Poisoned. Talk back to a producer? Car crash. The writers didn't play. They turned grudges into fatal plot twists. The message was clear. Respect the drama, or die in it. Fans ate it up. Every character death felt personal, because sometimes it was. And yet, the show only got juicier. Revenge wasn't just a storyline, it was a staffing strategy. Fact 20. It inspired 60 international versions. You thought Dallas was big in Texas? Try the world! The show inspired over 60 international versions, from Russia to Egypt, from Brazil to Hungary. Each version had new actors, new accents, same delicious betrayal. In Turkey, it was reimagined as a radio drama. In India, the story ran for 18 years. 18. J.R. Ewing became less of a character and more of a global archetype. Greed, charm, power, and that ever-present cowboy hat. Every country has that guy. Dallas just gave him a name. Bonus fact, Larry Hagman's final scene was shot in secret. When Larry Hagman passed away in 2012, the reboot had a choice: write around it or honor him in the most Dallas way possible. They chose the second. The crew filmed JR's funeral in total secrecy. No leaks, no promos, no spoilers. When it aired, fans across generations cried. The camera swept across his casket, a silent farewell to a TV titan. And then, like clockwork, the voiceover came in. Even in death, JR still had a plan. Of course he did, because when it comes to Dallas, the drama never dies. So, which of these Dallas facts blew your Aquanet-coded mind? Was it the riots in Turkey? The liver transplant? The dream season that pulled a full, just kidding, on an entire year of plot? Drop your favorite below and tell us which classic show we should uncover next. Because if JR taught us anything, it's this. If you're gonna stir the pot, make it unforgettable.